to first practice for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's the last race before the sun break in this record-breaking season. Round 14 of 24, and we've travelled 771 miles west from the Hungaroring to here, the circuit Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes Forest, 90 miles east of Brussels. Now it's the longest track on the Formula One calendar, 7.004 kilometres or 4.35 miles, and the track's had a bit of a makeover, much of it's been resurfaced. 19 turns, we've got 10 to the left and 9 to the right, 2 DRS zones, one from turn 4 down to 5 down the Kemmel Straight, and the other is from turn 19 all the way down to turn 1. They'll aim to do 44 laps around here on Sunday, using these 3 compounds of tyre, the C4 soft, the C3 medium and the C2 hard tyre, same as the last 2 years here around this circuit, but have the wets and the inters handy, because as Bernie Collins and Kareem Chandler join me here in the commentary box, we know it can rain here, anything can happen. The forecast today was for rain all day, and look at those skies. It's bright, it's sunny, and it's very warm outside, Bernie, warmer than probably we were expecting.
Yeah, definitely it was warmer than was forecast yesterday, particularly. You can see as you come into the day, it just ramping up. All of the forecasts out there changing, some of them adjusting for tomorrow and further into the rest of the weekend. So Spa, you know, we just cannot trust the forecast, and we just don't know what you're going to get.
If you ever get bored with this, you should just be a weather forecaster. I mean, that is where your inner real passion lies, I feel, is weather radaring.
I would hate to know how much of my life I devote to watching forecasts on the radar. But anyway.
But we're British, we love talking about the weather. I mean, at the moment, Kareem, it's dry out there. You don't know what to expect. I know they moved the race to July, and I hope that would bring more stable weather. Last year proved we were in July, and we had a wet weekend pretty much all the way through to the race.
Yeah, and amazingly, you know, this place is just, it's one where it's so hard to predict because you've got the downforce factor here. You know, last year McLaren came with a big wing, which really helped them in qualifying on the wet, in a wet sprint race. But then when we got to the dry race, you then are a complete sitting duck down the straights, as Norris found out. So it's a massively complicated situation for the teams to be able to try and predict the weather in what is the most unpredictable racetrack on the planet.
There are some of the hardiest fans in Formula One that come to this race weekend. You saw some of them there sitting in the forest with fantastic vantage points among the trees to watch all the action on track. It really puts a smile on your face when you see everyone gathered here for this race weekend. It's a real Formula One passionate fans venue.
It's the smell of waffles wafting across this paddock when you walk in. It's great.
This is fantastic. This is the livery on the Alpine this weekend. It's the tie-in with Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, Ryan Reynolds, part of that Ultra group that has invested some money into the team, and there's a new film out now, and they have decorated not only the car but the race suits as well, and both drivers have these tribute helmets, if you like, to the Marvel series. Ted's down in the pit lane. He's got an even better view of those than we have.
Hello Rachel, hello Karoon, hello Bernie, hello everybody, welcome to the pit lane. Now, you know when you go and drive on the continent, or if you're lucky enough to drive on the continent, and you see some cars with the letter B on the sticker next to their number plate. B, Rachel, B, I've got some Bs for you. Belgian before break. And down here at Red Bull, we've got the Max Verstappen garage, and I've got some more Bs for them as well. Brotherly, boisterous, brotherly, banter, bustle, bolshiness, you might say, brusque with one knee but another. But that's not the case. Well, that might be the case, but that's just the way they roll, as we already heard Max Verstappen saying going into this session. I've got to say, I've been studying Max as he's been getting into the car. There is his engineer on the right-hand side. We won't be able to see him because we're just clearing the car. But there is GP Lambiase. He's all ready to engineer the car. And the upgrades that we saw in Hungary have been abandoned. I know that's not a B, Rachel, but there's a B in there somewhere. They've been binned. Well, they've been benched, I think it's fair to say. So the cucumber-shaped engine cooling channels either side of the driver's head, the cannons either side, are back. Yes, the slightly awkward-looking channels to cool the car are back. So they were abandoned in Hungary, but they're back, as the team, to be fair to them, intimated they would be at lower downforce circuits. So we've seen lots of upgrades for other teams up and down the pit lane. We'll get to the Mercedes ones, which are plentiful in a minute. But what we have at Red Bull are, well, I don't know, Rach, what are we going to call them? Downgrades?
But weekend. You know, there are several teams, as you have pointed out, who have brought different parts this weekend to make the car better around here. Bernie's going to come in on this, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, we see a lot of, we bring different downforce levels for certain circuits, you know, and we bring certain cooling specs depending on what the circuit layout is, depending on how they can best optimize the car. So they'll have a good idea for this circuit, what they think it needs to be. And some of that will be based on the data last week, but they'll definitely feel that this setup is the best setup they can put together for this circuit.
The other big Bernie, though, I'll bring in with Max, was balance, because he was complaining about that last weekend. We know he was suffering from understeer, so how are they going to combat that, and how important is that around this circuit, in particular this weekend?
Yeah, that's maybe one more for Corinne in the driving seat.
I think, first of all, this circuit is completely different. You couldn't get two more contrasting circuits. You know, you've got the high-speed, fast-flowing nature of Spa in contrast to you know, what is basically a go-kart track from one size in Budapest. So they're in a very different range of the aero map and the speed range in terms of the average speed. And I think also what we have to factor in is this track has been resurfaced. You know, the surface here is, when we had the 24-hour GT race, was 3 seconds quicker in the drive. A lot of drivers I've spoken with who've been here testing in other categories have said, yeah, it's quick in the drive.
You ready?
Nothing there, I think, but yeah, they're all saying it's quick in the drive, but very slippery in the wet. So, you know, there's so many factors that will affect the balance of the car, is what I mean. So, yeah, we'll see. Inherently, it looked like the Red Bull wasn't in the sweet spot in terms of the car setup, but they had to dial in, crucially, that understeer to protect the rear tyres. Everyone was suffering with rear tyre wear in Budapest, and the only way to protect the rear tyres is to dial in understeer, and that we know is something that Max hates.
So if you want to see how they get to grips with this new surface, no pun intended, you can go on board with any one of our 20 drivers this weekend. All you need to do is hit your red button or watch your favourite driver, listen to their team radio, go to the Sky Sports app on your phone or tablet device. You can scan this QR code that's on screen now to get there. Log in with your Sky ID, head to the Sky Sports F1 channel and choose your driver. It's very simple. Sky Gas, Sky Q and Sky Stream customers, you can also access this experience via your red button. As we watch Esteban pull away there, he was told to box apparently on that team radio message, and he's been back in and back out again on track as they wait for him in the pit lane here. But tough weekend for Alpine in Hungary, very tough weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him yesterday, you know, how was it? And he just said, disaster. Which, well, we've had a spin, it looks like. Danny Ricciardo coming out of La Source, so he's on a hard tyre at the moment. And we've had some overnight rain this morning. The free practice session for F3 was wet, then it started dry during F2, and now the sun's come out. This is Daniel, turns into La Source, gets in there fine, and then there's a wet curve on the outside. Managed to get away without touching the barrier, which is good. I think that curve on the left, Bernie, was still a little bit down. So he's gone in deep, and watch that. Yeah, very lucky to get away without touching the barrier.
Tyre doesn't look great on that front left. He does it when it's stopped there. It looks a little bit like he's flat spotted it there, trying to avoid the barrier. That's the hard tyre that he's obviously planning to run for a significant amount of this session potentially. One of the things with that hard tyre is very early in the session, the grip's not quite on the track yet. Yes, this track is used a lot and it doesn't improve at the rate of some other circuits, but you want to get somewhere on the F1 cars. So the teams that are running the hard tyre at this stage, roughly 50%, that would be more of a struggle very early in the P1 session, and the medium tyre should get even stronger. And as I say that, I realise we're stopping with P1 on hard tyre, but it's early in the session yet.
It is. Let's see what Nico Hülkenberg does on this medium tyre then, as he now has a teammate for next year confirmed. No, he doesn't have a teammate, sorry. His seat at Haas has been confirmed, which is Esteban Ocon going into Nico Hülkenberg's seat, as he did at Force India, as he did at Renault, following him around his career.
I thought you were going to announce a breaking news that Audi have signed another driver.
No, sorry, you're correct. Audi haven't announced number 2 yet.
It's Martin Bundle from his suit earlier.
Yeah, maybe.
He's testing, he's trying. could see the end of this Nico Hulkenberg lap then going around here. I mean, dry conditions. We didn't have dry conditions last year, and the best time in P1 was 2 minutes 3 seconds from Carlos Sainz. So he's going to be a lot quicker. But he only goes 10th quickest in the house. Interestingly, Kevin Magnussen yesterday in the press conference saying that the car's been good when they haven't expected it to, and they've had some surprises with this house this year and the updates they've been bringing.
I don't know how much is around the sort of movement on the front wing there. That'll catch the attention of
lots.
Yeah, that'll catch the attention of lots of other teams up and down the pit lane as well as the FIA, because flexing the bodywork is a massive talking point.
Stickers, you can see those little blue stickers, round stickers, are measuring and registering it, aren't they?
It's creating a reference, basically, where the teams are able to create the measurement of the movement, or the FIA are able to measure the movement. Look how slowly they're going, Rach, and this is going to be one of the issues on the track, is the drivers on cool-down laps are going to be absolutely crawling around. They're putting the tyre temperatures back under control before they go again. And we nearly saw some massive incidents in the F2. We saw Kushmaini, down at the final bus stop chicane, which I guess most people now just call the chicane, but nearly running to the back of about 5 different cars who were doing just this. They just go down slowly on a cool lap now. It creates massive issues.
And then also when you look at qualifying, you'll be looking at people trying to get a toe down the Kemmel Straight as well.
Just to add a little bit to what Cohen's saying there, the fastest sector 1 time we have at the minute is a 30-second sector, basically. Verstappen in his cool lap has done almost double that, 58 seconds, and that's just in sector 1. So there's a big delta between fast and slow cars here. And I know it's a long track, there's a lot of time to find the space. Actually, those gaps close really quickly when you're out of phases in the car.
Yeah, they're doing over 3 minutes on the slow lap. Verstappen at 3 minute 10, Russell at 3 minute 6, so they are absolutely crawling. And I always think every weekend we kind of get away with it, which is not a nice feeling to say, oof, got away without somebody being launched up in the sky. And I know it's a conversation that's come up a lot with drivers and GPDA and the FIA, but we haven't yet found a solution on this.
Let's go back to Ted in the pit lane. Ted.
Unfortunately for Esteban Ocon, that problem that he was told to pit with looks like it's getting worse, not better. They're not able to fix it. The mechanics are working at the rear of the car. We're just waiting to get a line from the team, but it looks around the MG UK, the engine bay. You can see just now they've taken the nose cone out, and you can see this nice metal bracket on the front of the chassis. That indicates they're going to have to lift the car up. To do that, the driver needs to get out, and to do that means that it looks like at least half an hour's fix of this Alpine. So yeah, it looks worse and worse as time goes on. I'm very sorry to say. By the way, Daniel Ricciardo, currently burning Rich, didn't pit after that flat spot tyre, so he looks like he's happy to continue. Do we know how big a flat spot that was? Will it be shaking those lovely teeth of his out of his gums?
I'm definitely no tyre expert, Ted, as you know, but not pretty significant from the way.
That is exactly why you're here. Why are you here?
She's here for the weather, Renee.
Oh, right, yes, weather radar.
Bernie's not jumped for this corner.
It's just because normally in the garage I would ask the tyre engineer and it would be up to them, and they'd be
We haven't got one of those.
looking at vibration metrics and all these different things, and the driver would be giving some feedback. But yeah, look pretty significant, just based on the onboard.
Right, we were talking yesterday about Ocon. Thank you very much, Ted, for the moment, who is having that issue fixed at the moment in his garage. Let's hear from him now, though, on his move to Haas for next season. This was him talking yesterday.
Yeah, so super happy, obviously, to finally announce, where we'll be going in the future. Obviously, it's an exciting challenge that we have in hands, with Haas. There are big plans for the future, and I can't wait, to be starting our collaboration together. It's a long story that I have with Ayal. It's been, my first race engineer in Formula 1. I did the test with him 10 years ago, back then at Lotus, and I was for sure delighted to be seeing the project that they're having and where they're heading to. Well, you will see they have big plans. In advance, they are already, having a great upward trajectory, throughout this season and throughout, the last season. They've been performing extremely well as a small group, with the team, and they are, just doing better than teams with more than 1,000 people. So it is super impressive, and I hope that we can do great things together.
When you say great things, are podiums the next targets for us and realistic ones?
Step by step. I think it's important to keep that upward trajectory as they are having. I will be doing my best to lead that and hopefully give them more information and more things that they need to be able to perform on a better level than what they are doing now. But already it's been super impressive what they are doing and the improvement that they have made.
So seats, less and less seats available now for the 2025 season as we watch on board with Lewis Hamilton. We saw a couple of moments for Oscar Piastri there, Corey. McLaren on an incredible run right now with that car. And if it goes well here, then probably would you say that it's going to go well everywhere for the rest of the season?
I think it is going well everywhere. Honestly, I don't think there's a weak point. They're absolutely in contention everywhere we go. So, there's no reason to think they won't be in contention here, and they are going to be the best challenger for Red Bull. If Max has that 10th-place penalty, which we expect he's going to take at some point, then they're going to be the favourites. They absolutely have. And last year, let's remember, the car was very strong around here. Oscar, I think, was second in the sprint. I know it was wet. And they got the downforce level slightly wrong for the drive, but there's no reason. Listen, in the last 7 weekends,
I was going to say you've done your maths first this morning.
They've outscored Red Bull by 64 points in the constructors, and I think that's where they're battling. I still don't believe that Max will lose the Drivers' Championship to them. I think he and Red Bull are still quick enough to keep that 84-point lead, and maybe it'll come down, but I think they're pretty safe for the drivers. But I still think the constructors is wide open.
Don't tell the McLaren drivers you think they're safe for the drivers, because Lando and Oscar both think they've still got a chance to catch up here.
But I think the message the team sent was they think the drivers are out of reach, because otherwise they would have let Lando win in Budapest. They wouldn't have swapped it if they thought they needed the extra 7 points for Lando.
But the team don't look at the Drivers' Championship. They only look at constructors, though. That's what we're always told. You're shrugging.
I think the team are looking at the constructors, and their view is to win the constructors. We want 2 happy drivers, and giving Oscar the fair result, which was to swap him out because he'd done the hard work to get in the lead and lead the first 2 stints, was the right thing to have 2 happy drivers, which will help both of them win the team, the constructors. But look, if I think of comebacks in the championship, right?
Yes.
Kimi Raikkonen in 2007, for me, is one of the biggest points turnarounds we've ever seen in F1. And if you use today's points applied for 10, including the fastest lap, he would have been 55 behind Lewis after the USGP in Indianapolis. Lando's 84 behind. So, it's a tall order. It probably needs 3 DNFs it needs 3 DNFs from Red Bull. So,
we're looking at the halo on the Mercedes. I know they've added some flaps to the halo in there as well, but the little strings wrapping around, Bernie, what's that doing?
Yeah, I presume, I've not seen that directly before, but I presume that is an aero device. That is a method of seeing how the air is flowing over the halo without putting flow base on it. If you imagine putting flow base on the halo, it goes, anything spray off, it goes directly on the helmet. It's actually, you can't really do that. So it'll be a method of, they'll be videoing that from that shot we just seen. They'll ask the FIA for all of that after the session, and then they'll look through it and see how the air is flowing over the halo. I think.
See which direction those things are going. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to Ted. He's got an update on Esteban Ocon for us. Ted.
First, I can contribute to the halo chat on the Mercedes. What they've actually done, Rich, is they've removed a fairing flap from the halo, where it reduces the actual downwash of the air, which in turn reduces the drag by altering the onset flow to the rear of the car. And if you think I'm reading that from the official submission from Mercedes, you're correct. But by removing that flap, it's something that is more or less circuit specific to here at Spa because it reduces the drag. So you would have had usual sort of flick-ups on the halo to add a bit of downforce where they can, because you want to reduce the drag here in Spas, long straights, etc. Then you do that as much as possible. Right, the update on Ocon is that it's a water leak in the system. So they've been trying to get to a place where they can actually fix it quickly. They couldn't, so they need to take off the floor, various other bits of very small bits of bodywork around the rear of the car to get to it. So that wasn't Gasly. I think Gasly was a hydraulic failure at the last race that put him out.
Yes, correct.
On the Hungarian Grand Prix. So the Uti ready?
S1, turn 8.
What did you say, Ryan? Please don't. I didn't get what you said. But don't speak in fast starts.
S1. That's what he said. Ryan Botsy there to Charles Leclerc. But yeah, so a different issue for Alpine they've had recently. Just on the Esteban Ocon and joining Ollie Behrman at Haas, Rachel, do you want to test Karun's knowledge of tall F1 drivers? Or should we do it later?
No, I think we should test Karun's knowledge of tall F1 drivers. Because I think I know what you're about to say.
Is Ocon and Behrman, I believe Ocon and Behrman now makes the tallest F1 driver pairing in history.
Bigger than Justin Wilson and Mark Webber.
Oh, I think you might have got me, Rach. So Ocon is 1m86 and Ollie Behrman is 1m84. When Hulkenberg and Jolyon Palmer were teammates, Hulkenberg is 184, Jolyon Palmer is 183. Paul di Resta, if you want to put that in, was teammate with Hulkenberg, was he not?
Yes.
He was, yes.
So PDR is 185 and 184. So Ocon and Behrman beat PDR and Hulkenberg.
Mark Webber is 184. Mark Webber is 184.
And Justin Wilson was significantly taller.
187.
Anyway, was 193 officially.
So
the tallest
are we saying the tallest right?
The tallest since Karun was right.
Good grief. I mean, these stats, everyone thinks you have a notebook of stats. It's just your brain. It's incredible. We walk around with notebooks, Ted, and he just has a brain that is just crammed full of all this information.
Still, you've got to fit two tall guys into a chassis, which won't be the work of the moment for Haas, even though they do already, of course, have Nico Hulkenberg very cosily settled in.
Thank you very much for the moment, Ted. We will see Mr. Hamilton whether or not he gets back out again this session then. So for now, Max Verstappen quickest on those hard tyres. The two Mercedes, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, are 4/10 back. Their performances have improved as well. I mean, Lewis getting that third place in Hungary. Are they in it this weekend, would you say?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they've sounded very confident for the last few races. We didn't quite see that initially when they brought some recruits to the car, but they've definitely found something in that car and find something within themselves. You know, to have 2 wins, back-to-back wins, is not something we expected many other teams to have this year, let alone Mercedes. We knew McLaren would get there. So I think it is going to look very strong for them.
I think they've unlocked the magic bullet in terms of the flexi of the bodywork, isn't it? The front wing and the floor. We know McLaren unlocked performance when they did that middle of last year, and again with their Miami update. And Mercedes seem to have found a way to do it. And just maybe to take a moment to explain to people at home, right? It is so difficult to control the way that these bits of the front wing, different elements flex in a way that is controlled. So meaning you want it to flex in a certain manner and a certain amount at a certain speed. To calculate that and to lay up the carbon to get it to do that is one of the most amazing engineering feats of modern Formula One. And I was talking to John Barnard, who was the pioneer of carbon fiber in F1. You know, he did the first ever carbon car back in McLaren in '81. And you know, even he was saying it is so impressive to see how much the teams have moved on in terms of getting the bodywork to flex. And I agree with Bernie. You know, they now have a car that gives the drivers a more consistent balance, and it should work everywhere. And they've outscored Red Bull, haven't they, the constructors over the last 7 races.
Yeah, and when you look at them in the garbage, they just look more confident. There's less last-minute panic setup changes between P3 and qualifying that, you know, were sort of commonplace at the beginning of the year. Look at the garage pictures we're seeing now. looks under control, plans haven't changed, it's not fully chaos. And that, you know, you can often tell a lot just by walking past the front of a garage how calm is the team.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Well, we've got only a few runners out on track right now. Max Verstappen, the quickest so far on those hard tyres. The medium runners will come out behind him down to P9. Alex Albon, the next quickest on those hard tyres, ahead of Sergio Perez. Looking at Carlos Sainz here, and he obviously hasn't made a decision, or we don't know what his decision is on next year. The changes at Audi, Andrea Seidel and Oliver Hoffman leaving, and Matteo Binotto coming in, who obviously used to be at Prix. Do you think that's opened up his mind to Audi again? Because we were thinking it was possibly Williams, or if the Mercedes seat is free, or even a Red Bull seat could be going there. Do you think that's swaying him back more towards Audi at all, too?
I suspect Mathias been on phone to him to tell him why he should come there, because you've got two different things in terms of who's got the power in the negotiations, right? I think in the case of Red Bull and Mercedes, it's a question of Carlos convincing them why he's the best option, whereas in the case of Williams, Sauber, Alpine, it's a question of them convincing him why they're the best option. And I'm fairly confident he's not made his mind up. So I think there is still a lot of people, you know, and a lot of conversations going on between Carlos, his dad, and his manager, you know, and all of the five teams. I think the Red Bull seat is closed off. The Mercedes thing is really an outside option.
He won a race, didn't he, last weekend?
Yeah, but one swallow doesn't a summer make, and I think, you know, you have to look at the big picture, and really for Mercedes, they're evaluating based on the testing of Kimi. But he's an outside shot. You've gone into big clean fit.
I'm laughing because for those of us that live in the UK, one swallow summer does that make it could not be true. Could not be true for
this year. Even 1,000 swallows are making a summer this year.
The weather doesn't she?
Every time. Well, yeah, she doesn't talk about tyres anymore.
You read morning news, it's amazing segues just to bring it back into the weather up there. Breakfast news with Bernie Collins and the weather.
Sorry, but you know, you're 100% right. There's a lot of confidence coming out of Mercedes in terms of coming out to Delhi and the tests they're doing with him. He's doing a lot in an older Formula 1 car, which they're allowed to do by regulation. The team will be working with him very closely. The feedback he's giving to the engineers, it all sounds really confident. It's just, is the confidence enough to take a punt on it? And you know, we've seen these young drivers are so good. Oliver Behrman got in the Ferrari at the beginning of the year. You know, did way better than we sort of thought he might. So, you know, he really lived up to expectations. So these young drivers, they have it in them to do it. But is it too much to do a full season? That's the question we're asking here.
My view on this topic hasn't changed since Lewis switched to Ferrari back in the start of the season, which is, I think it'd be good for Mercedes to have Carlos for 2 seasons. Get the 2026 car up to speed, get themselves with an experienced lineup into the fight, and have, you know, Kimi earning his stripes at Williams, and then swap in.
Is there something to be said for taking some of Carlos? Obviously, Ferrari are doing pretty well at the moment. Any of the teams that take him, we take his information as well. So he's coming not on his own, not on the driver performance. What can you learn about what they're doing differently in any of these sessions?
Indeed, that is the Alpine in its new livery this weekend for the Deadpool and Wolverine film, I should say. That is out now. Well, it's a dramatic livery for the Alpine, but it's been a dramatic morning. Verstappen still in the garage at the moment, waiting to find out whether or not they can fix the water leak issue they have going on right now. This is Nico Hülkenberg in his Haas, and as we mentioned, moving to Audi for next year to be replaced by Esteban Ocon alongside Ollie Behrman. And now, if we go to RB, you'll go for it.
Well, the email from the FIA has just landed that to confirm the grid penalties for both Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda.
Which is exactly what I was about to come on to. Yeah, Yuki is taking a new power unit. He will start from the back of the grid, but we have confirmation now of Max's too.
Yes, so they will both take, I think it's 10 places for Max, from what I understand. Yeah, so Max has taken the new IC, so the internal combustion engine. Yuki has got all the new elements. So Yuki will go back to the grid, and Max will have the 10 races.
This is round 14 of 24, and we are thinking that potentially he may need to take another engine later in the season at the moment, the way it's fallen, or do you not think that?
Well, I don't know what your view, Bernie, is, but there is a school of thought that obviously the one they lost in Canada in free practice, I think it was, wasn't it, has gone.
Yes.
You know, that they can't
They tried to and they couldn't.
Yeah, so they might, they've introduced one here. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to keep this one for the rest of this weekend. It's just to introduce it into the pool.
Right.
And then they might end up using it later in the year just to get them to Abu Dhabi. Because, as you say, there's still a lot of weekends to go. And this is the track on the calendar at the moment where it is the easiest to overtake. So if Max is to come to the back and isn't overtaking, this is by far the easiest track on the calendar for overtaking.
Yeah, so we've historically seen a lot of engine penalties here because of that very reason that Quinn said, because it's easy to overtake. That's why teams did it here. Now, as far as we're aware, and we don't know everything that the team knows, but we think that Max has lost one engine. So if he evens the usage of the other 4 over the year, he should make it to the end now with this one that he's brought in instead. That may not be the case because we might have an issue with another one at some stage, but 4 should be. The team should be targeting reliability that gets 4 to the end of the year. And they'll mix and match, you know. We could take a very old engine that he's run in the past and put that in at some point at a track that's not so engine sensitive later on in the year.
Right, we've got some soft tyre running. Can we talk us through this George Russell there?
Comfortably flat out through Eau Rouge, not even a corner for these modern Grand Prix cars. I'll tell you what it is though, it's a corner for the engineers to study the plank wear, because the bottom of the car really touches there. You see the sparks and the plank dust flying out, so they'll be keeping an eye on that to make sure the plank is still legal at the end of the race. Russell now 3/10 up, as you'd expect. Even though the first sector is really only one corner, you pick up a lot of grip with the soft tyre in the slow speed hairpin, down through Beau Rivage, dropping further downhill through the left-hander, which had no name and is now, I believe, called Jackie X corner. So downhill still through Pouhon there. Look at the back of the car again, grounding those sparks coming through. It just looks absolutely planted from up at the helicopter. The Fania chicane, always a compromise of how much speed you carry through the first part to make sure you don't go too wide, bring the car back for the second. Then Stabilo, get the nose in. Super important to get on the power early, because the corner for Prix is not even a corner for these drivers, comfortably flat through there. And he's not really gained much time in the middle sector of the lap compared to Verstappen. He gained a good jump in the first sector, but he's not quicker than Verstappen's time. And sometimes with the soft tyre, it can get overloaded in that middle part of the lap. Get the nose nicely into the apex. This looks pretty good. Good traction as well up to the line. He's picked up a bit more time, but not a whole heap quicker than Verstappen's time. Russell, of course, was behind Verstappen, so compared to himself, he has got quite a decent improvement.
He almost 3/10 quicker though than the hard tyre on the Verstappen's Red Bull. Let's watch for Max now on the soft tyre doing his first round.
Yeah, this is where we'll get the real like for like. So Verstappen, we know, has got a 44.5. We saw Russell middle sector wasn't quicker than Verstappen's, but now Verstappen himself is unleashing that pace. So he's found a big chunk of time, and maybe he saved a bit of time in the first sector of the lap. Didn't attack La Source too hard, just to make sure he's got the grip he needs in the middle sector.
A whole second quicker in the middle sector than George. And George is now.
Yeah. Into the final chicane. Again, listening for the wheelspin. Yeah, no real struggle with traction there. Goes fastest comfortably. A bit slower than George in the last sector. Well, and equal within a few hundredths.
It's all in that middle sector that he found that extra time.
Yeah. And Piastri's the one, Bernie, who's on the lap at the moment, but he's also 7/10 down on Verstappen's middle sector time.
Yeah, the Verstappen lap looks really strong when you compare it to others. I think the hard lap looks strong compared to the others. On medium, now we're getting a soft compare. Part of me was sort of wondering if there was something going on with the track that meant the soft wasn't performing as well. Like the track temperature is ramping up a little bit, which will make the track a little bit slower, but the track improvement should be counteracting that. So I think Red Bull, whatever they've done at this stage, does look very strong on both of those compounds that we're seeing.
Even went wide.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have cost him anything there. He this has always historically been a strong track for Red Bull, hasn't it? You know, Verstappen won from 14 because they've got what's known as an aero-efficient car. So you know, they're able to run the downforce they need to get the grip in the middle sector of the lap, yet have good straight line speed, which is what you need for sectors 1 and 3 on this lap.
But we've had, what, 7 different winners now this season, and a run essentially where Red Bull have been challenged. Is this where they come back out on top again and lay down a marker?
But, you know, the emphasis actually is on Perez, isn't it? Because if this is a weekend where we're saying that, again, Red Bull could stamp their authority in terms of car performance, and we know Verstappen's going to have a 10th-place penalty, this is a golden chance for Perez to shut all the doubters up and be the 8th winner of this season.
Right on cue, Perez doing a hot lap on the softs will get a delta, but you know, on the hard tyre it was something like 1.2 seconds between the drivers, so let's see if that can be improved through this run.
Unbelievable commitment through Prix there. Doesn't really need all of the roll up to Fania. It's a bit tentative with the wheel, isn't he? He doesn't seem to be as attacking on corner entry as we saw with Verstappen. We'll see if that reflects the lap time. Again, Verstappen has the 3 bites the cherry. But the middle sector is down, so Perez's middle sector, you know, Verstappen we know did a 44.0, Perez a 44.8, so 8 tenths, which is similar to Piastri, a couple tenths quicker than George, but again, it's Verstappen's middle sector where he's just been devastating.
And the characteristics of that middle sector?
Lots of corners.
Lots of corners in that middle sector, devotes a lot of commitment. It's also a little bit windy out there through some of that today, so there's a big change between head and tailwind. And, you know, Verstappen pushing very strong in a lot of those corners.
9 tenths down on his teammate.
Yeah, we saw this with Max last year, didn't we? After, remember was it Singapore where he had a terrible weekend with, well, terrible by their standards, wasn't in contention. And we got to Japan, and we all walked to the Congo box, I remember, and everyone had thought, right, how much is he going to go quickest by? Just to tell everybody and remind everybody that he is still king of the castle.
Does that mean that they've got on top of the balance issues and the understeer issues that he had in the... I know you say it's a completely different track as well, but for him to be quickest in that middle sector that's full of the corners, there's something changed that means he's more comfortable.
Yeah, it is that. It's a different track and a different aero. You're in a completely different range in terms of the aero map and the level of downforce, and that changes the balance of the car.
So he wants to race there every week.
No, I think he just doesn't want to race in Budapest.
More gravel being thrown onto the track there, though, as well. Let's go back down to the pit lane. Ted's got some more for us. Ted, where are you?
I am at Red Bull because I'm absolutely fascinated about this 10th-place grid penalty for Max Verstappen, because I know we've known it all weekend, haven't we, Rachel? He's been telling us since Thursday that he is going to take a fresh engine, which is going to mean a 10th-place grid penalty. So not a new turbocharger or MGUK or other bits of the energy recovery system like Yuki Tsunoda is taking. So it is only 10 places at the moment for Verstappen. But the big question in my head is, can he still win the Belgian Grand Prix from there? Can he still win the Belgian Grand Prix from there when you've got Hamilton and Russell with a Mercedes upgrade, when you've got Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri with a very strong McLaren, and when you've got even Leclerc and Sainz with a flaw that's not making the car bounce itself to pieces at the moment, or what we've seen at the moment, and that is the crucial thing. I think the answer to that is yes. Do you want to disagree that Max can still win from what? 11th, 12th, 13th? It's not really more than that, is it? Probably.
No, and he's won here from 14th before he mentioned that. As you say, I mean, the competition in the challenge maybe wasn't as strong when he won from 14th, but on a track like this where you can overtake, you wouldn't put it past him, would you?
But those were races when he was still winning by 10, 15, 20 seconds despite overcoming their grid penalty. And the other thing for me is that, of course, Red Bull want, you might say Red Bull need a win after the
I'm really starting to know what the car is doing on entries.
Is that mainly low speed?
All speeds, low speed and medium. I don't have the feeling of what's going on.
Well, that's not positive.
That's what it looked like, Ted. Yeah. You were saying it just he was so tentative with the wheel trying to turn in. That's what it looked like when we were on board. Sorry, Ted, go ahead.
After the events of Hungary, and even looking back after the events of Austria and and Silverstone as well. Red Bull need a win, don't they? I mean, I know it's crazy saying this given their success this year. They really need to get back onto that. Max Verstappen needs, just for his own, I don't know, self-calming nature going into the summer break. They need a win, and can they still get it?
Yes, thanks, Ted. I mean, much as we heard some frustrations on the radio in Hungary, we know that is a team of winners, and we know Max knows how to win. So I've no doubt there's been a complete reset there, and they're ready to go again and challenge this weekend.
Well, I hope you haven't run away, Ted, because I want to know, because I feel like we should have a little waffle bet. Maybe, you know, a little. There's a waffle truck in the paddock. So, so do you think Verstappen can win from, let's say, he ends up 11th or 12th on the grid? Do you think he can win?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll say no, just to make this interesting for everyone.
Okay, why do you think no?
Just because I think the McLaren is much more competitive than it has been in the past, and I think the Mercedes is more competitive, and it'll be harder for him to come through the pack. So, and also, just because if we bet the same thing, then it doesn't work. So.
Absolutely excellent reasons, and reasons, by the way, supported by the man himself. Max Verstappen more or less said, well, if I have this 10-place engine penalty, that means I can't win the Grand Prix. But I'll bet you one free waffle that neither of us have to pay for. And the other thing, of course, to bear in mind is that they could have deferred it, Red Bull, but when would they have deferred the engine change to? Monza, which is not quite as easy as overtaking as here, or Zandvoort. Surely they couldn't go to Max's home race in Zandvoort and take an engine penalty. That was never going to happen. So in many ways they had to do it here.
Well, exactly. We will see who wins the waffle at the end of the weekend. Meanwhile, Alex Albon's gone third quickest, and he actually lost all his time in that pesky middle sector that everyone is struggling with. But a really good lap from the Williams there.
Yeah, well, they're low drag, aren't they? They're able to be quick in a straight line, and as I said, sectors, it's such a weird track here that they're looking at lap time, because if you're quick at sector 1, it doesn't mean you're going to be quick at the lap time, and they are fast in a straight line. They'll be a good candidate for points this weekend.
They had been fast in a straight line last year, and then at the start of this year, we're just talking to Alex and Logan, they felt like they'd lost some of that straight line speed somewhere, but it's back.
Well, it's back for this weekend. Don't forget that to win the World Championship points across the 24 races, you have to be quick in the corners, not just the straights.
Would that have been a late call there, Lando locking up just before he came into the pit lane? Was that a late call to box, or was that just...
I think it's just Lando locking up and trying to practice the pit entry, because that's going to be critical here. You know, we might end up with a two-stop race here, Bernie, don't you think? And therefore practicing the pit entry is going to be vital.
Yeah, it's two-stop race. One of the reasons for that is it's got a very low pit loss. But one of the things the strategists on the pit wall will be really pushing them to do today, both in this session and later on, is do their absolute best pit entry. That new tarmac will change their apex speeds in particular. So what is the pit loss time that we have accurate or not? And they want them to do the best job they possibly can at that. And drivers in this session don't always want to do that. So we make it a competition. We give them a graph against the driver on the other side of the garage and we tell them who's done best and who's not. And, you know, they always want to win things, so they try their best in the pit entry for that reason.
And the pit exit's important as well. Remember we saw, was it Isaac Hadjar last year crashed into the pit wall on the pit exit over here. So
the pit exit's so important here because you have that big run down to turn 5. You need to get a good exit out of the pit.
Just engineer.
Turn 5, it's turn 5.
Name it, name the corner. I don't know what to do, man. It's turn 5. Leg on. Just on your bet, by the way, Kareem, I'm going to throw a spanner in your works here because F1's currently on its longest streak without a win from pole in 14 years. So if Max does go quickest and is on pole, but then has to start P11, you could win it straight away. Because we haven't had a winner from pole. It's the longest streak. Quite some time.
I'm confused. I lost you halfway through that explanation.
I can tell by the glancing over of your face. Anyway, let's move on to the on-track action then.
I was going to go a different way with that. So I was thinking as Ted and Karim were discussing that, what side of the mark would I lie on? And given the 5/10 between Red Bull and McLaren at this stage, you know, it does look, if you just look at those two, it does look like McLaren's a little bit way off. Then when you look at the 7/10 to Williams, do I believe that I'm wrong?
What do you think our timings are? You tell me the timings. Apologies, Max. All good.
I think there's a bit of the start of that we've missed, isn't there?
I think GP was trying to talk to one of the other engineers and touch the Max instead.
Okay.
You don't think? He was asking about timings in terms of the number of laps and
Yeah, I was imagining when I've had that in the past, a driver has given his opinion on what we should be doing, like should we do one more push lap, should we go again, I don't want to do any more, etc. And then the engineer comes on and go, well, I've got the spreadsheet with all the lap times in, so what do you think the timings are, Max? So I don't know if we've missed about the start. Could be either way. Could be either way.
Anyway, which one are you betting on? Come on, Verstappen to win or not?
I think in reality it's closer than that 5 tenths we have on the board.
So are you betting that he will win or won't win?
No, won't win.
Okay, so you're on Team Chandler. Good.
Okay, I'm not taking either side in this, but I can tell you Max is quickest so far in this session with a 1:43.3. But as you say, the McLaren just 5 tenths behind, but then the Williams 7 tenths behind and ahead of both of the Mercedes so far in this session. Ferrari 6th and 9th right now. Do you think they've been left behind a little bit by McLaren and Mercedes at the moment?
I think so. I think they started the year stronger, didn't they? If you look at the points that Leclerc and Sainz have got on the championship table, you know, they're third and fourth in the championship. But so much of that came early on in the season.
Yeah.
You know, in recent times, if you look at it, in the last 7, Piastri has scored 108, Norris 106, Hamilton 98, Russell 79, and then Sainz and Leclerc 71 and 64. So, you know, Leclerc is third in the championship, but he's scored, quick math here, 44 points less than Piastri in the last 7. So I think that trajectory has been turned, and I still think when you get to Singapore...
Is the engine okay? How we can be slower on the first sector?
We are checking everything to new.
So they'll have a look at the data there. But yeah, I think when we get to Singapore, slow corners, bumpy track, again, they could once again be very competitive. But on more conventional circuits, they just don't seem to have the pace of either McLaren or Mercedes, let alone Max or Red Bull.
Just heard from Fernando there. He was not very happy in Hungary. He had the issues in qualifying where he was pulled into Park Fermé and didn't know and wasn't told at that point that the qualifying session was going to get going again. And so talking to him really unhappy about it. And he spoke to me in the pit afterwards to say, you know, hang on, why was I not told that it was going to restart? But potentially, they admitted they may not have got much further up than they did anyway in that order.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Nobody really improved on that final run in Q3. I meant to go back and look at it. I haven't actually done it yet, but I don't know if the red flag came out when he was on a flying lap that maybe could have improved his lap time. But just in terms of that comms there, what he means is he's 2 tenths slower than Lance Stroll in sector 1. And 3 tenths slower in sector 2 actually. So I think that they've given him compared to Lance saying he's 2 tenths off in sector 1. He's going, well, that's just pretty much a straight. So, you know, is that engine or why am I 2 tenths in the straight line?
On board now with Oscar Piastri, their latest Grand Prix winner, maiden Grand Prix winner as well, winning in Hungary, of course, last time out. And it was the start, wasn't it? I mean, when you looked at that start, you could see Lando covering off Max, but he had to cover off both of them. And as a result, you know, Oscar's great start, he went for the gap and he made it, and that's what made his race win.
Yeah, and the first 2 thirds of the race, because we saw lots of instances last year, including, let's be honest, the last race in Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, where Oscar couldn't hold the same race pace as Lando, had to move aside and let Lando pass. But that just shows me how much progress he's made, and it was so good to see him hold that 3-4 second advantage under pressure. He is just cool as a cucumber, leading the Grand Prix there.
We've got a lovely chat with him coming up actually this weekend on our race show about how he celebrated and just all things McLaren really, and how they've managed to turn their fortunes around from being pretty much last on the grid at the start of last season, of course. As he goes out on this lap on the mediums.
Is the engine okay? How we can be slower on the first sector?
We are checking everything to new.
As Bernie, you were pointing out that's a straight, and essentially he's checking for engine power because he's down on his teammate through that.
Yeah, he was down on his only at 2:10 through that section, but he's since now on a faster lap again and has actually matched Lance through that sector, so he's now very similar. But he was questioning the 2/10 to Lance, and he was saying, why am I 2/10 on what is basically a straight line?
Well, very pleased to say we can now join Aya Pratsu, who's down on the pit wall, of course, as team principal. Aya, thank you very much for joining us. A couple of updates on your car this weekend. How's this session panning out so far?
So far, it's not great. We're really struggling in grip in sector 2, medium speed corner, so we really need to improve the car to be a bit more competitive.
And Aya, you've announced Esteban Ocon is joining the team for next year. You're going to have two very tall drivers in your car. We were discussing this earlier, but I'm sure with Hulkenberg having been there this year, you've got a chassis to accommodate them both. Just talk to us about that signing of Esteban.
Yeah, obviously, we needed somebody who can provide us with a good reference, because we got Oli in the other car, and then somebody who's really believes in our project and committed with a strong work ethic, and 100% believe that Esteban can give us that. So really, happy that we managed to have Esteban, and really looking forward to get started.
So I'm just looking at the Constructors' Championship table. You guys have done a great job to break away from Alpine and Williams, it looks like, at the moment. Is your fight to try and get RB in 6th? Where do you think the battle is between you guys?
Yeah, I think obviously we had a couple of races with really good results, so we managed to score 20 points in 20 races, which was great. But as you can look at it here, the competitiveness goes up and down so much depending on the circuit. So, we cannot be complacent at all. Of course, we're trying to get to P6, but I'm sure, some races, Williams, Alpine, they're going to be stronger as well. We just have to do the best job every race. That's all we can do.
So just to pick up, it's Bernie here on what you said at the top with you struggling in sector 2. I think given the progress as a team, it's a pity to hear that. We've seen you regularly score points. So what is it specifically about sector 2 here? There's a few things. It's not fresh tarmac in a lot of that sector. It's windy out there. Or is it more car specific to you guys?
I don't have the full answer yet, but certainly the tarmac is having a big influence, I believe. So we're struggling a lot more in terms of the car characteristics over the old tarmac. So it's something we really need to look at it after FP1. And of course, we got a new rear window as well. Obviously, trying to achieve a better compromise between those sector 1 and 3 versus sector 2. So we need to look at that after this session, trying to get a better setup for FP2.
And just a final thing for me then is obviously you split the tyres between a medium and a hard in the first run, and you're now probably going to go on, I would imagine, and split that in the long run information in P1. How do you see the rest of the weekend panning out in terms of that tyre usage for you?
Yeah, again, it's really depending on what we can improve on sector 2 as well. How we can use the tyres between those medium and hard tyres. So it's a bit too early to set this minute, but that's why we are splitting, just to get the best information from FP1 and then prepare best for FP2.
Great, thank you very much for the moment, Aya, and we'll talk to you again across the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we can go down to Ted now, who's in the pit lane, because Esteban Ocon only had that one lap and came in. Ted, what's the latest?
It's not good, I'm afraid. They are unable. The car is in, it's in half at the moment. The whole rear end is off the car of Esteban Ocon, and he's not going to be taking any part at all, really, after the first run in this free practice one. So inevitably that will affect him going into the rest of the weekend. I was just wanting to show you how they're doing the tests on the front wings, but do you know what, Rachel? You've got a few more cars on track. So let's do that later, unless you want to see a little version of what they're doing on the Aston Martin, or
We can't show now. We were literally just looking at a replay of Lewis having a moment on track, but we're back with track action now. But yeah, if you've got a quick explainer for us, just to explain what the FIA are looking at and why, Ted, that would be great.
Okay, well, on a lot of the cars, you'll see there are some spots on the inside of the front wing end plate, but if you just have a look at the camera on this Aston Martin, just by the logo where it says Next Gen, that's actually looking forward to various other points of the front wing. So there are some cars that have got, at least one car on every team is festooned with these cameras on the nose cone, which the FIA are going to look at the footage from when the car is at full load, either on the straight or some of the faster parts of the track, and they're measuring the deflection reflection of all parts of the front wing. So some cars have got little target marks on the inside of the front wing end plate. Some, like the Aston Martin, are looking at the central part here of Fernando Alonso's front wing. So I've been watching the FIA technical department members go up and down, looking at their cameras on every one of, at least one, as I say, of each team, going up and down, checking what they're doing. They'll go and analyse that. And if they see too much flexion, obviously they're all passing the tests when they're done statically in the pit lane. If they see too much flexion, then, well, then the discussions really starts, because they can't find them illegal, because that's not the rule, is it? Rach and Karun and Bernie. The rule isn't about what the car does on track, it's what it does when it's measured in the pits. So this is not a black and white thing. If they see too much flexion, then a team will be thrown out of the race or something. It's a discussion, beginning of a discussion point, if the FIA see anything that they think is outside what they're trying to do with front wing movement.
We will see how that develops. Thank you very much for the moment taking out that confirmation from Alpine. But Esteban Ocon will take no further part in FP1, which is a real shame for him. How much do you know?
No rear-end at all.
He's also struggling out there at the moment. I wanted to ask you, how much of an impact does that have on the weekend on a track like this, Kareem, when you miss the entire FP1 session? I mean, it is dry, and it looks like it's going to stay dry for the rest of the day. At least that will help him.
I think as long as it stays dry, it's fine. It's not a big deal. You know, it's the longest track in the calendar, 7.004 kilometers. But actually, there are not that many corners. There's, you know, there's sort of, let's call it seven actual corners and 3 chicanes or sequences of corners that the drivers have to tackle. So it's not really an issue. I think it's a track that they all know so well as well.
Yeah, George there saying he's got no rear end. What does he mean by that, Bernie?
Well, yeah, it's one of those interesting comments you get from a driver who's got no rear end. Obviously, he's got some, because he's getting the car home and he's doing some lap times. But yes, he's just feeling an imbalance in the car. Many reasons that could be. I was trying to look at his tyre. The tyres aren't so old that I think that it's necessarily a tyre going off issue. So maybe just something, a lot of the drivers out there now have put fuel in the car, so it will be, I think, a weight dependent thing where they've gone to 60 or 70 kg, and maybe that has just upset the balance of the car a little bit.
It reminds me, I was racing in sports cars one year, and
I've got to go into balance really badly. Okay, copy Lewis, let us know what you need.
And don't want bouncing back.
Yeah, I don't want that back. I was racing sports car one year, I remember coming on the radio saying, oh, the car is just undrivable. And the engineer just came back, monotone, classic engineer, went, well, you're driving it, aren't you?
The patience you have to be an engineer.
It was commonly said on the pit lane when you hear these, the car's got no grip, but that's untrue, isn't it? If you need it back, so it definitely has some grip. And it was commonly quoted on the Aston pit lane. I'm sure it still is down there. But you know, then we hear that bouncing from Lewis Hamilton. That again is they've put the weight in the car, they've put the fuel in the car, and they do that in this session for exactly that reason. Try and get a first read of the balance. They've spent up until the last 20 minutes assessing how the car is performing in low speed, assessing qualifying. But we know here, as we're saying, with the stop and the engine penalty, it's about how the car performs in the race, because overtaking is possible. So you need to get that first read on how the high fuel balance of the car is going to be. That's what they're trying to do. So some work to continue at Mercedes there.
He reminded me of the famous Kimi Räikkönen radio where he said,
some corners are very obviously unpredictable.
That's not what you want from your car, certainly. No, it reminded me of the Kimi Räikkönen radio where he said, can you hear me? And they said no, and he said, well, you can, because you just answered me. So it was the factual response from the engineer, but also from the driver.
That's good they get with the radio check with Lando in Budapest, didn't they? They didn't think he was giving up the place.
It's a different scenario.
That's when the drivers suddenly magically go hard of hearing.
What? No, can't hear. Break up.
And I'd like to see what the pit board was saying at that point, because we obviously still run a pit board at some points in case we lose a radio comments to the driver, and we have messages on there like how many laps to potential pit stop, or the lap is released, or the gap to the car behind. But we sometimes have things like in next lap and we really don't think we're getting through on the radio, so I'd like to see what that was saying.
Yeah, took me back to Alan Jones' Carlos Rotman team orders round where they were waving a pole at Carlos Rotman, and he just ignored it and went on to win the race, which completely completely destroyed their relationship as Williams teammates back then.
So Fernando Alonso then, currently P12 right now. His teammate Lance Stroll in P10. So 1.5 bit tenths quicker than him, and they have both been out on the soft tyre in this session.
I'll tell you what, it's clouding over.
It is, it's got darker.
Yeah, the track temp's gone down 3 or 4 degrees, and as clouds are sort of hovering, the resident radar specialist will be all over it in a moment, I'm sure. Will tell us whether we're going to get rain on this afternoon or not.
Well, there was nothing on the radar, but we have dropped sort of 2 to 3 degrees. We had a big blip in the middle of P1, but it's a bit steadier now.
You see the bouncing there, can't you, for Lewis?
Yeah. It's so high speed. It's such a high speed circuit. You know, when you get to those parts.
Is that why it's back, because it's high speed? What else could it be?
It can explain why they have it here and not in Budapest, because if your terminal velocity is much higher and you're in a different position on the aero map, and then ultimately the bouncing is caused by aerodynamics. It's not suspension, it's the aero, that's the way it seals the flow of the ground. And clearly they have an issue today. It seems at a certain speed, and that speed is probably higher than what you see in Budapest.
Overall as well, the car will be on a slightly lower downforce level than it was in Budapest, so little changes in that and the setup, the suspension at current lines, that will change that bounce effect of the car. We see there as Norris goes across, you can see the much darker tarmac to the much greyer tarmac. That's the old to the new tarmac, so there might be here a difference in the roughness of both of those tarmacs, or how bumpy the old tarmac is, but they may have bounced in one section of the track and not in some others, so there's a lot to contend with moving. You can see it there very clearly, the dark line.
So 2 minutes to go. They're all into their sort of race runs at the moment, isn't it? We're seeing people in the 50s and 51s. Even people who's on the last lap there, Verstappen 48.5, 2 seconds quicker than Lewis's time. In terms of the tyres, Verstappen's only done 2 laps in the second half. So yeah, still doesn't explain why he's 2 seconds faster than Lewis, who's on a set of mediums that's only done 2 laps.
What are you thinking for the race, Bernie? I mean, you mentioned earlier, looking like it could be a 2-stopper.
Yeah, it could be a 2-stopper here because it's easy to overtake on the short pit loss. That's what tends to push that here. Last year we didn't see a lot of the hard tyre because the temperature of the track was actually quite low, too low for the hard tyre to really work well. Now, this year, as we discussed at the top of the show, forecast is not that reliable in Spa, so we don't really know what track temperature we're going to have. Already we've seen half of the teams get rid of one of the hard tyres, so we're expecting probably a soft and a medium 2-stop race. Big question mark is what's going to happen tomorrow in qualifying with any weather conditions. If it's wet tomorrow for qualifying, that means the teams actually have a lot of new dry tyres.
My tyres look like they've been through the gauntlet. They look destroyed.
That's Karen, that's the soft tyre he's talking about. It's on 11 laps.
He really sounds quite stressed, doesn't he?
So that's actually opposite to what I'm saying. He's basically saying the soft tyre isn't holding up at all at this stage in the track. As we go through the weekend, that will improve. The track improvement helps the tyre, but it's quite a bit off.
It's over a 10th slower than his teammate at the moment. Over a second, sorry, 1.3.
Yeah, it's a big old margin. So Leclerc's going to get one last lap, and then they get a practice start on the grid. So
mediums right now.
So Leclerc, he's done 7 laps on this set of the medium tyres. So we'll see if he's charged the batteries up. His last lap was a 155, so he was just making a gap, I think, in the last corner for a few seconds.
Yeah, so sorry, I was just sort of pointing out that he'd done 10 on the first run of medium, and then he's done 8 on this one, so 18 in total on that medium tyre.
Right, so it's quite a used set, isn't it? The Verstappen's tyres have done 10 laps in total.
It's like a spark from the plank behind the car as well.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. The engineers, as Bernie well knows, will be measuring the plank. So there are various sort of points where they measure the depth and thickness of the plank. And let's not forget, Leclerc got disqualified for that, along with Lewis Hamilton back in Austin last year, and Eau Rouge in particular is one of the places where you get the...
And Lando, opportunity, turn 8, careful of dog legging, focus on throttle pickup.
Dog
throttling Peru?
So I think that's in terms of the way he applies the throttle. You know, is he getting on the power, holding it at a lower percentage for a period of time, and then picking it up? And what they're saying is just be a bit more progressive and clean in the way you pick the throttle up.
Yeah, he's certainly sounds right. If I imagine what the throttle trace would look like, it might look like a dog leg, maybe that's what they mean, but it is about not overlapping the throttle and the brakes too much because that uses fuel. And then if you can just wait a bit later with your initial throttle hit and then come on the throttle. Now, sometimes we've seen in the past that actually the throttle setup can change that, and drivers tend to ride the throttle a little bit when they're not actually planning to through some of the corners.
Verstappen long run is devastatingly fast. He's done 48.8 on this last lap. Leclerc 51.4. Obviously his tyres are older and the medium, but there is literally no one else in on this last lap who's done even a 49. Apart from Norris has done a 48.79. His tyres have done on this lap. Just again, Norris's tyres have done 10 laps. So yeah, similar age to Verstappen.
So do you want to change your bet?
No, I'm so confident that Max won't win this weekend.
Even with that race pace.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he is quickest so far with his 1:43.3 on those soft tires. Go on.
Confident enough to bet a free waffle.
A free waffle, not a paid for waffle, just a free waffle. How can I don't even want to know.
It means Ted has to walk up to the truck to get it, or I have to walk up to the truck to get it.
Well, the truck on the top paddock will be his to his left, so it's only on the bottom paddock which is easy to get to.
Well, that's disappointing. The top paddock was right next to the sky pad. The smell was wafting across the car.
It's left, Corinne. They ran out yesterday after serving you them all day. You ate them all. They had to go. Whereas we see Andrea Stella on the pit wall. Yes, the drivers actually and engineers singing his praises actually for what he's done for TCT. Took over as team principal. Well, that's a great result for Alex Albon and Williams. P3, they're just 7 tenths behind Max Verstappen on the soft tyres around here.
Yeah, they could start the weekend and he'll carry a lot of confidence into the rest of the weekend.
He was saying that their plan was too indecisive. Their strategy was too indecisive last time out in Hungary on the radio. I thought they could have been more for them there.
Did they really have the pace to get in the points? I'm not sure. That was that sort of circuit. He did a very good job at Silverstone the previous time to get in the points, and I think this circuit with like Silverstone, lower drag, that it will benefit them.
Right, to start on the grid at the moment, which side of the track is preferential? I mean, you want to be on pole, but actually going into turn 1. Yeah, I think poles on the right-hand side of the track is preferential because that's generally the cleanest line. You've just got a little bit further ahead, but here it's not so much. It's a very short run to turn 1, so it's not so much about your line in the turn 1. And actually more can be made. You don't want to get crowded on the inside of turn 1. That tends to be where people lose positions, is going around the outside. Yes, it's a further line, but you don't get squeezed really in the apex of that turn 1 corner. And then here it's all about having really good straight line up to turn 5 or Lecombe. It's about having good straight line speed. And actually, I think a little bit on the outside of turn 1, you carry more speed around the outside of turn 1 than you do if you're really stopped on the hairpin.
Weirdly, I think you want to somehow orchestrate it so you're second coming out of La Source, which then, but also second coming out of La Source, but like 2 or 3 car lengths behind as you get to the bottom of the Rouge. Because what you don't want to do is get to the bottom of the Rouge where you're so close to the car's front that you have to lift at the bottom of the hill before you get this, 19% incline. And you want to be able to judge that gap and then get the move down the top. And it was Sebastian Vettel against Lewis Hamilton a few years ago in the Ferrari.
Yes.
He just absolutely judged that gap into the this point here. You want to be here 3 or 4 car lengths behind. And then
gain the momentum up the hill and then up this Kemmel straight for Lecombe, just get the move done. It's harder to judge than I make it sound, because you've also got the cars behind who all have the same idea on you.
Yeah, I think if you're on the DRS train, everyone's got the same thing going, really.
Yeah. On the open lap, there's no DRS.
There's no DRS. Okay, so if the third shortest run is 137 metres, then only Baku and Vegas have shorter runs to turn 1 than here. But, I mean, last 5 races, Cole hasn't won the race. I mean, P2 is not such a bad position to be in here, as you say, for that first lap and actually for a race overall.
According to the stats this season. Here you will give up qualifying position if it gives you better race pace.
Yeah.
So it's not about out-and-out quality pace. It's not about the low fuel run. It is about getting the high fuel setup. And the cars that do that the best. When we talk about Williams' good straight line speed, that will all count on Sunday because you're, one, able to defend, but two, able to overtake. And you can lose time through sector 2, which is how the Williams is set up at the minute, but nobody's overtaking you around there. It's about getting the 2 straight lines correct.
So, you've got Max to win, but who's going to be on pole? This is my question to you now.
Well, it's a bit early for that question. let's get through FP3 and then we'll have this conversation.
Well, Max isn't going to be on pole because he's got a grid penalty, so that's to see a fun.
He can get pole and then be moved back to
No, he can't.
places.
Fastest in qualifying.
Fastest in qualifying.
Technicality, classic engineer there, finding the loopholes.
Or pedantry. Well, it's certainly looks good for Red Bull so far. I mean, he was quickest in that section, and as you say, their race pace looks very, very strong around here. As we see Carlos Sainz come back into the pits, and as you said, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz 3rd and 4th in the Drivers' Championship right now. Charles giving up that second position to Lando Norris.
I'll just come in really quickly on the pit lane, Rachel. But you've seen some of the cars come in there. This pit lane actually got steps through it, so depending on which box you're in, there could be a little run-over hump into your pit box. So practicing this pit lane is very important because there's little ramps on. There's very soft ramps. Ted will take a look for you later on, but small ramps between the pit boxes. That means sometimes you can be very upset coming into your pit box here.
Kareem's nodding and agreeing.
Yeah, I was more thinking actually about the pit lane entry because they built that not many years ago. And it just seems like a flawed design because if somebody breaks down on a pit entry, it completely blocks it. So it seemed like a very odd thing to, to build that from scratch when they could have come up with a better solution really from the off. He looks pretty pleased, isn't he?
Pretty chilled. Pretty chilled, pretty happy with the car. Certainly better than it seemed to be for him last time out in Hungary, for sure. Sergio Perez getting out of the other Red Bull right now, and if that car is quicker around here, he needs to get there alongside him, doesn't he? He needs to be second quickest to his teammate, or even beat his teammate, and he needs to be up there in the race if Max is having to come from 10 places back.
Yep.
Big weekend for Checo?
Yeah, massive weekend for Checo. I think it's been tough to watch, if I'm honest. He's, just watching him crash out of Q1 in Budapest. It's tough to see any sports person in the having a rough ride, and that was another example of it.
Well, the fans have had plenty of action in that FP1, and no rain either, no ponchos in sight, which is not going to be a first for me here in Belgium, but this is the result at the end of that practice session. Max Verstappen quickest, a 1:43.3. Oscar Piastri second quickest, but some 5.5, almost 6/10 back from him. Alex Albon in the Williams, third quickest with a 1:44.0. Then come George Russell and Lewis Hamilton in the 2 Mercedes. Charles Leclerc is the quicker of the 2 Ferraris, then Sergio Perez. Orlando Norris is a second behind Max Verstappen in the other McLaren. Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll rounding out the top 10, but Stroll 1.3 seconds behind Max Verstappen's best time on the soft tyre. Then in P11, the quicker of the 2 Alpines, Pierre Gasly. Esteban Ocon not getting out because of a water leak issue for him. Fernando Alonso in P12, 1.5 seconds behind then Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas. Logan Sargent in the other Williams. Yuki Tsunoda takes a penalty this weekend. He'll start from the back of the grid for the race. Nico Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen in the 2 Haas. And then Joe Guanyu in P19. We'll be back for second practice a little later.